So finally got down to it, and had like a decent layout of the song, just working that song, like I said, at the LAX airport, picking the beat and putting all the one-liners in there. And that's why, if you go and listen to some of our other music, it's like a lot of the lines and the bars will be much more cohesive, whereas this song, it's kind of like they have one-liners in there, and it kind of doesn't rhyme with anything else. Now there is a lot of cohesion, but a lot of that came like after I was putting it together. And even after that first initial, like that dedicated writing session that I said that I had at the LAX airport, there were a lot of ideas that even came like weeks, in some cases even months later after this initial writing session. Definitely the ad-libs definitely came afterwards, the ad-libs, the outro at the end. I think even like a lot of the chorus came later, and definitely towards the end of the song. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the bar by bar, line by line analysis, the double entendres, the hook. Obviously, we have to address the hook first. As I said before, at the beginning, it was just that one line, Thanos Skywalker, bitch, I'm Thanos Skywalker. With all these bitches on me, I'd make a fine father. And like, that was it. All the other parts of this hook, like, and even the song, like that was the first line of the song. And I just thought that part was like so funny. I was like, I gotta go ahead and make this like the first line of the song. Why not? And so obviously that line is a reflection of, Luke, I am your father. You gotta have that iconic, ad-lib in, especially at the beginning of the song, so y'all can hear where I'm coming from. The second line of the hook, you puny humans pester me, and I'm your fly swatter. Obviously that's directly influenced by Hulk. You puny humans. So I mean, I know it's not like Thanos, directly, but it's just got like that Marvel flavor to it. Now, while there are no immediate either Star Wars or Marvel comic references in the next line, I just thought this was some cold-blooded shit. Why cry over spilled milk when blood spills just like water? I just thought that was some gangsta ass shit just to say, and I thought that just fit the theme of the whole song. When I beam you up like Scotty, that ain't no flying saucer. I thought that was like the coldest line in the whole hook. That actually took me some time to think about that one. I'm pretty sure that was like the last line that I came up with. So the hook is pretty much, straightforward. And I know that that's Star Trek, not Star Wars, but I did feel like it fit the theme, of the song. Obviously, just to give y'all a little more insight there, that is a double entendre. Beam you up like Scotty, and like the flying saucer, what is it, Spock, I think is like beam me up Scotty, but also like a beam, a laser beam that you put on a gun. That's the reference there, if y'all didn't catch that one. I remember when I was writing this, I had a tough time deciding what line to start off with, so it was like hardcore Dark Lord, Star Wars, enemy clones, and Infinity Stones. I think I kind of revised that, enemy clones and Infinity Stones. That wasn't there originally. That was definitely a revision. This next line was also a revision as well. Hammers I pull could drop Thor, like hammers that you pull on a gun, but Thor's hammer, ha ha, you know what I'm saying? Peter quilts with weaker wills. It's like what Thanos said, the hardest decisions require the strongest wills, right? But Peter Quill couldn't shoot Gamora, to kill her and stop Thanos from getting the Soul Stone. Thus he hesitates like a coward. I'm inevitable, you underestimated my power. Pretty much, direct from both Thanos saying I'm inevitable, and Anakin Skywalker is saying you underestimate my power. The younglings line after on episode 3 where Anakin turns to the dark side and kills the younglings. I thought that was one of like my favorite lines. Thought that was funny. Don't get force choked and punched in your Norse nose. It was actually originally Thor's nose. Don't get or something like that. It was like you get punched in Thor's something like that. That was the original line. Red eyes blinded. I don't think that was a complete. I think I like split the bar on that line, but that's a reflection, to the red eyes that the Sith has. That's a direct reference there. I'll make them forget about you without Jedi mind tricks. Like the Jedi mind tricks, they have they could like influence or persuade your decision making process, but also Jedi mind tricks. The hardcore hip hop rap group. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, rap group of all time. Jedi mind tricks. So shout out to them. I remember when I was putting these lines together. I'll make them forget about you without Jedi mind tricks, and it kind of just flowed into the next line because it was like a direct comparison, if you will, because I'll make them forget about you, but like Stark, I hope that they will remember you, reference to Thanos saying that he hopes they remember you, Stark. I'm looking at some of the lines that I took out. Final round, I had a line in here. You'll need a whiter towel, like throw the white flag, but I guess that didn't make the song. Final cut. Raining fire down, that was, when Thanos was being threatened. He said by Scarlet Witch in Endgame, he said, make it rain fire on entire towns till gore spills in your shields and force fields. I'm on top because I have the higher ground. Obviously, that's a reference to Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3. It's over, Anakin, I have the higher ground. Right before he says, you underestimate my power. I'm the higher being. While that's not like a direct reference to either of the lore in Star Wars or Marvel Comics, I did think it was reflective of the character building, but it's also the nature of my stage name, one who may ascend, the higher being. Haha, you get it? Okay. I really like these next lines coming up. Mofos must like to bleed. FOMO surprises me. Slow-mo or hyper speed. Price of life was cheap. Dolo, Han Solo. I just really like that flow, how everything is flowing right there. I think that's a reference to a meme. I got the time today, time stone today. So I really like the incorporation of that right there. Slow-mo or hyperspeed. Hyperspeed, traveling like Han Solo and them when they go into like hyperspeed or whatever in the Star Wars. Against your mightiest heroes, I try my chances, Dolo. Earth's mightiest heroes, that's what the Avengers are commonly referred to as. Now this next line is probably arguably like my favorite line in the whole song. One gauntlet behind my back, I call that Han Solo. I think that bar is like crazy. I think like that right there, that does it for me. I think that's the epitome of the song personally. If you have a favorite bar and that's not it, I'm definitely curious to know what your favorite line in the song is. This next line was revised quite a few times. I forget what the original line was, but I just know that it was revised. I throw hands. I think it was, I tried to fit in robo hands, because Darth Vader had his hands cut off, from Dooku as well as by Obi-Wan. It's like he just can't keep his hands, man, but I try to throw, and it also fits the rhyme structure of the song. When I throw robo hands, even Ronan has no chance. But it's like I just didn't have enough space in the pacing of the song. It would have been like offbeat. And even with only saying with what I did, I think I was still offbeat a little bit. I even hear it when I perform it and practice it live myself. The next line obviously defeated Guardians of Galaxies, the Guardians of the Galaxy. For you to beat me, you're in an alternate reality. That's reflective of Strange. All the 14 however million 601 possibilities. This was the only alternate reality that I could have been defeated in. And then I don't know if y'all catch this one or if it's too quick. Leads into the next line. it's often disappointing. That's reflective of Thanos saying reality is often disappointing. And then goes into influenced by spells such as Doctor Strange, And I really like the rhyme structure here. Influenced by spells, if Dooku and them fail to quell the defiant rebel alliance, I'll do it myself. Obviously Thanos was like, I'll do it myself. This is a side note, just a personal side note. I remember that was an iconic moment. I remember skipping prom, my senior year of prom, hang out with a friend, and we went to go see the first Avengers, and it was like that. It was that moment, that movie. This is 2012, right? And he was like, I'll do it myself, and we were just like, oh my gosh, guess just a side note, how much a nerd I am and everything like that. But anyways, back to a regular scheduled program. I know I said, I wrote all of this myself and everything, and I had no external influences, but this next line was actually influenced by a friend of mine. We were freestyle rapping. Shout out to T-Ran, the homie back home, John Tran. I don't remember what freestyle episode it was, or if it was a line from one of his actual songs. I just got to give credit where it's due. He says something like, my aim is better than stormtroopers. Or there's like some stormtrooper line that he dropped while we were just, big chilling, freestyling. And I just had to incorporate that into this next line. So shout out to Tram for inspiring this next bar. I don't even remember his line. I just know it has something to do with stormtroopers and not aiming properly. So if we could find that, whether it's in like the freestyles, that we posted, our previous history and everything like that. But that's what inspired this next line. It's best to better have aim than stormtroopers if you pop your gun. And then obviously the next line after that was, otherwise you did all that just for a drop of blood. That was influenced by the Thanos line right there. Oh, you could do this all day. Obviously that's Captain America reference right there. Great, do not give up. I'm not lifting sticks. And this line required a little bit of revision. I was trying to add too many rhymes in this structure right here. Lifting sticks. I was trying to say something like, you better hit me, bitch. Didn't work out. There's some other rhyme that I was trying to add in there as well. Fortunately, Sidious does rhyme with executing Order 66, so that worked out perfectly. By the way, lifting sticks, that's a reference to guns, that's slang for guns. We often refer to sticks as guns. By the way, that reminds me of the J. Cole Dreamville collaboration with Sheck West, and who else was in there? J.I.D. Stick. I love that song. That shit goes hard. That J. Cole joint. Dreamville. Stick. That's one of my favorites. That's definitely my playlist. So that's where I guess I started adopting that phrase when I came across that song. Truly a tragedy when Death Stars start to spray, gods start to pray, just like they were all destroyed in Asgard and everything. Heads get it. That's one of my favorite bars too, right here. I know this definitely came later. This line in particular. Heads get ejected to galaxies far, far away. At the end credits, or the beginning credits rather of most, if not all, of the Star Wars episodes. Somewhere in a galaxy far, far away. I thought that bar was crazy. Another one of probably my second favorite line in the whole song. I don't know if y'all caught this, but in that line I said, because heads get ejected, and then the next one I say, you should have gone for mine, meaning my head. Y'all should have gone for my head, because I broke a few hearts and opened new scars. That was kind of, I guess, something of a double entendre there. Broke a few hearts. Padme, Anakin, you're breaking my heart. as well as Scarlet Witch saying, "You took everything from me." So broke a few hearts. The next line here is just kind of like rap wordplay or whatever, but it's still on brand, on point with the theme. There's more fire in me than Earth's closest to stars. Here's a line that I took out that I'm looking in my notes here. You'll stop in your tracks if I'm going too far. Not very relevant, so, just to show, again, like I wrote this shit myself, but I did have to edit a lot of things out. This was kind of like a rap bar as well, but I think it does fit the theme. So this line here stayed. Apparently there won't be any pairs in Noah's new ark. Apparently pairs, you get me? But also because, Thanos was insistent on wiping out half of the universe, so that kind of does make more sense. There won't be any pairs, and then also leading into the next line, I'm the chosen one. But I don't even know who you are. These are all Thanos references, Avengers references. Few of the next lines are kind of just rap wordplay. You can't gain my respect. I'm the angel of death, strangling necks, and I came to collect. I just like the wordplay and the structure of that so much. Like, I just decided to keep all of that. So far as you can't live with all your regret, you should have gone for the head. Obviously, those are Thanos references. When he said you can't live with all your regret, what came to mind was you couldn't live with your failure, and where did that bring you? Back to me. That Avengers reference right there. Now this next one, I don't know if y'all got this one, because this is not technically a movie reference, but it's actually a comic book reference, Star Wars comic book reference. All I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men, like it's Dawn of the Dead. And how did I stumble upon this reference? Well, those damn YouTube shorts that I was reading, and I was like, yo, this is just a cold bar, so I'm just gonna throw that one in here. Another cold bar coming up. Your back will face the gurney if your lack of faith disturbs me. Obviously, that's a Star Wars reference. Your lack of faith disturbs me, with Darth Vader. That was just kind of a one-liner, and that just goes to show, like a lot of this is like just hodgepodge together. There's no real like rhyme structure in there. I just thought it was like a cold ass bar, so I just like decided to add that in there. Now this all leading up towards the end, this next part is where we start getting towards the end. I know definitely writing this part was a little bit different. This next part, all of this structure required a few different renditions. There were some things that I wanted to add, some things that I couldn't. So this next part will be very interesting. But I knew starting out when I was writing this next part, the line that I wanted to end on at the very end, may the force be with you. So that was kind of what I was rhyming with, the whole time. And it kind of I just kind of kept stacking rhymes and other references, on top of the line that I knew that I was going to end on. And was may the force be with you. So this next line here, death's an unfaithful bitch, of course she'd kiss you. Obviously that's not necessarily reflective of the MCU Thanos, but of the traditional Thanos from the comic books, where Thanos is basically a simp for death. He's doing all of these things to like please death. He wants to wipe out half the universe or kill, mass murder or whatever, to impress death, to fall in her good graces and everything. So that's what that line is reflective of. Death's an unfaithful bitch, of course she'd kiss you. They'll sorely miss you like Fantastic Four reissues. That's referring to unfortunate, I guess, issues of Fantastic Fours being distributed, all the movies with the Fantastic Four and everything like that. So I hope y'all got that reference. I'm looking at some of the lines that I actually took out here. This was like a Wu-Tang reference. So I took this out, because it didn't fit the theme of the song. You better protect your neck before we blitz you. I think that's before I had all of these, other references that were actually applicable to the nature of the song. You pussies ain't Black Panthers. Now storm needs tissue. I know this is an X-Men, not a Avengers reference, even though Black Panther is in the Avengers. But for anybody who may not be aware, Storm and Black Panther were at one time married in the comic books, so that's why I said, Storm needs tissue. I'm not mourning Gamora. Thanos was mourning Gamora. And I'm not mourning Windu. Anakin Skywalker was mourning Windu after he cut off his arm and dude got tossed into oblivion, in episode 3. Would you rather be an X-Man or be crippled? This is another top tier bar right here. Man, it's hard to decide if this is my second favorite or third favorite, but it's up there. Top tier bars. Would you rather be it? Because, X-Man, as in like no longer a man, or be crippled, and also referring to, again, I know this isn't necessarily an Avengers bar, but X-Men specifically, or be crippled, referring to Professor X, who was in fact crippled. And I go a little bit further into that reference because unless you're Magneto stopping 40 missiles, and I wanted to say in midair, but didn't have enough space to do it. Before eats hits you, you better have better aim than the Mandalorians do. Reference to Star Wars there. I haven't seen the Mandalorians yet, but I hope y'all understand the reference. If I'm on your ass, may the force be with you. And that's basically how the song ends before getting into like the outro. And the outro is, don't read too much into what I'm saying, the depth of it or anything like that. It's just, I was just freestyling with it one day and just adding on to it. And I was like, hey, this is some cold shit to say. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see any conspiracy theories or bullshit or whatever like that. I've been doing this for years now, well over a decade, going on 2, so before y'all throw that Illuminati bullshit at me, I don't know what y'all do. At the time of this recording, I am not currently famous yet, but I know y'all gonna say whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, that's really what I have to say about this, the line by line, bar by bar analysis. Hope y'all enjoy it. Yo, what's good, y'all? I am OMA, one who may a sin, console trap metal recording artist. Here in our YouTube channel, you can expect exclusive content, whether it's vlogs, music, freestyles, behind the scenes. You never know what you're going to expect, so make sure you hit your post notifications, like, comment, subscribe, share it with somebody else who might find it valuable as well. Stay tuned, the best is yet to come. We're going all the way up, eyes to the sky.